Sathya Sai Speaks, Volume 9, Chapter 7. Cults and Culture. Satya and Dharma are the two cardinal principles of Sanatana Dharma, ancient but eternal spiritual code. They are the goals of all faiths, the teachings of all saints, the core of all the achievements of all sages, the undercurrent in all scriptures. They spring out of the Atma Tattva, essential nature of the self, which is the lesson taught in the Gita. The Gita is the essence of the Upanishads, the Vedanta, the concluding essence of Vedas. On the day when you are celebrating the anniversary of the inauguration of Dharmakshetra, it is necessary to remind yourselves of this. The Vedanta declares, Ishavasyam idam sarvam. All this is enveloped by God, and so, how can man hate or deceive another? The rules and disciplines laid down in all religious systems have as their aim the application in daily life of this great truth. The immanence of God, Satya and Dharma, truth and righteousness, are the two eyes of every religion that has emanated from the primal Sanatana Dharma of Buddhism, Christianity, and Islam. They are further elaborated and exemplified in the epics and Puranas of India. Rama entered the forests and suffered poignant agony for the sake of upholding Satya. The Pandavas exiled themselves from their capital and swallowed, unmoved, excruciating insults, in order that the cause of truth may prevail. Harishchandra reached the nadir of grief and humiliation, but never gave up his hold on the truth. These are the models held before the men and women of this land for millennia, through song, drama, sculpture, painting, poetry, and philosophy. They are beacons beckoning the people of all lands to a higher, nobler, and beneficial destiny. Nevertheless, today the children of Bharat are enticed by tiny, titillating achievements in the material sphere won by Western scientists and technicians, such as traveling in outer space or flying to the moon. Might must bow to right at all times. Consider the 5 Pandava brothers immortalized in the Mahabharata by Vyasa. The eldest is Dharmaraja, born of Dharma. The second is Bhima, of the mighty mace. The third is Arjuna, the foremost bowman of the age. But yet, both Bhima and Arjuna yielded ever to the slightest nod of Dharmaraja. For might must ever bow to right. Transferring the story to modern times, we find that contemporary America is the Arjuna, Russia is Bhima, and both have to bow before Bharat. The Dharmaraja, who upholds the cause of right against might, military, economic, or other. What a great tragedy is it, then, that we who have to guide the world in the path of Dharma are ourselves losing faith in that path and straying away into the riotous road of power or might. The Mahabharata teaches other lessons as well. Let us turn to the opponents of Dharmaraja, Arjuna, Bhima, and others. The uncle who is leading the cousins and their wicked brood against the Pandavas is Dhritarashtra, the blind ruler. He has no vision. Yes, the vision that only righteousness can confer. He was blind, that is to say, he had no jnana, the recognition of man's incompetence and God's omnipotence. The Pandavas made up for their inferior military strength by faith in God's omnipotence and their own impotence. And so, God Himself led them into the field and won for them victory from the jaws of defeat. Karma, illumined by Jnana, brings about success. Jnana alone, the discovery that God is all, that alone can win the grace of God. Self-effacement is the first criterion of the sadhana that can save man from bondage. Dhritarashtra was blind because, as the name itself implies, he held on to the Rashtra, held on to all the things that were not he, the real he that passes from birth to death and again gets born only to die unscathed. Everything that is not you is an object, it is luggage for the journey. The less of it, the more comfortable the journey. Dharmakshetra and Kurukshetra are within everyone. Dharmakshetra and Kurukshetra are not to be looked for near Delhi or Hastinapur, on the map or on the ground. Nor are the Pandavas and Kauravas merely princely clans figuring in the tale. The human body is named Kshetra, and so Dharmakshetra is in everyone. When the owner of the body discards all desires, all passions, all impulses and all propulsions, then the body becomes Dharmakshetra. A child has in its heart only Dharmakshetra, for it has not yet developed sensual desires. It accepts whatever is offered. Its ego is not yet ramified into the objective world of multiplicity, but later, when it grows branches and foliage, the Dharmakshetra takes the shape of Kurukshetra, the battlefield where the mind struggles between hope and despair and is compelled to consume the diverse fruits, both sweet and bitter, of one's own acts. The Atma is described as a Vidyaleka, a streak of lightning, of the splendor of a crore of suns. The word Gita also means lightning, and so that Vidyaleka is the Krishna in us, that is to say, the Gita in us, the Atma that is counseling us and correcting us, as the God within. Do not throw overboard the Bharatiya culture. Dharmakshetra, it was mentioned, is being developed as an international center for sadhakas and inquirers. Those who are eager to learn the Sanatana, ancient way of life. India has no dearth of temples and institutions claiming to guide the pilgrims to God. In a library, only people interested in books will gather. A restaurant is frequented only by those who want a meal. The hospital is resorted to only by the sick. But in the temple of God, we do not find today either devotees or God. This is the only house where the legitimate owner is absent. Temples were the centers for the spread of Bharatiya Indian culture. And when the attraction for Western culture became strong, they were deserted and left open to the ravagers of time. Everything is being judged with the American eye, American ears do the hearing for us. The American heart feels and fears. Fancies and fashions are reactions to events and things. Of course, it is useful to learn from others, but you should not overthrow the culture that has grown through the eons on this soil and fostered by the love of your ancestors for your benefit. How can the culture of America or that of any other country be congenial to Indians. Now the time is 7:30 in the evening. If you phone your friend in the States and tell him, I am off to a film show now, he will reply, it is 7:30 here too. But I am off for my breakfast. When it is morning here, it is evening there. When the sun sets here, it rises there. Time, climate, vegetation, temperament, ideals, the nuances of language, folk ways, all take on a strange color in a country that has had a different history. So indiscriminate imitation will result in the loss of the peace that follows fulfillment. Bharatiyas can get peace best through the folk ways that have been prescribed by the folk mind of this land. As a result of centuries of observation, experience, trial and error. Develop brotherly feelings for all. Bharatiya culture has emphasized the valid ways in which one has to spend energy and money for service of the distressed, the diseased, the hungry, the illiterate, the ill-housed, the ill-clothed. It condemns the spending of energy and money for pomp, for vengeance, for competitive factions, for material triumphs. Wealth is to be held on trust and used for promoting the brotherhood of man and the fatherhood of God. This culture also lays down that nothing should be done to damage anyone's faith in God or in his own self. Faith is a tender plant and it needs all the nurture that you can give. My desire is that you should not censure other religions. Develop brotherly feelings for all. God is one. There are not many gods, one for each tribe among men. Love is one. It transcends caste, color, and creed. When it is genuine, truth is one. There cannot be two, for two can only be one, occurring twice. The goal is one, for all roads must lead to the one God. Why then should men quarrel and fight over the eternal and the absolute? Dharmakshetra has a great part to play. It is in Bombay, which is the stomach of Bharat. The Himalayas are the head, and the Kanyakumari is the feet. When the stomach is inefficient, the entire body suffers the consequences. So keep the Dharmakshetra efficient and strong. Do not allow it to degenerate into a Kurukshetra. Let not friction and faction raise their heads here. Let the high ideals of Dharma, righteousness, be upheld here. This is the real seva, service, I expect from you and through you. If this is done, our land will have peace and security. Dharmakshetra, Bombay, May 12, 1969. Attachment causes pain, and detachment results in joy. But you cannot easily detach yourself from activity. The mind clings to something or other. Make it cling to God. Let it do all things for God. And leave the success or failure of the thing done to God. The loss and the profit. The elation or the dejection. Then you have the secret of Shanti and contentment. Sri Sathya Sai Baba.